Mr. Yepes, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Yepes.
No problem.
There's no roll call. Roll call, we're all here except for Mr. Uzan. Approval of agenda. Commissioners, do you have any questions on the agenda?
No questions.
No. No? So, agenda is approved. At this moment, go ahead. All right. At this moment, here's Mr. Uzan. At this moment, we're going to go ahead and take public comments on items. Oh, no, this is not, this is part of the, it's part of the agenda. This is part of the agenda, the public comment, so it's not a public comment at this moment. We approved the agenda already, okay? There's a public hearing item. Next item. It's item number 2. Uniform application number 2016-06, conditional use permit. We have a presentation.
Did you skip one, the mint?
He skipped it.
I didn't see it. Hold on. On the minutes, commissioners, do you have any questions on the minutes from our last meeting?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Minutes pass. All right, now item 2, uniform application number 2016-06, conditional use permit, Carlos Shao, Ivy Recycling. There's a presentation.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Commission. The item before you is a conditional use permit to allow the reestablishment of a public collection center within the Bulldogs Market parking lot located at 610 East 3rd Street. The applicant... Sure. Test. Can you hear me? Okay. The applicant plans to resume operation of the Recycle Center, which was in operation about 10 years ago for the purpose of recycling aluminum cans. The hours of operation proposed are Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Saturday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. This project is exempt from environmental review pursuant to Section 15332, infill development of the CEQA guidelines. When the project review committee met concerning this project on June 8th, there were no major concerns with reestablishing the operation of the Recycle Center. And there's comments enclosed in your packet under Exhibit A, just in case you wanted to take a look at those. And the applicant was advised that a conditional use permit would be required in accordance with the city's ordinance in order to operate the recycling center. There was a notice of public hearing published in the Calexico Chronicle on May 26, 2016. The notices were also mailed to property owners within 500 feet of the project site on the same date. The notice of public hearing was also posted in front of City Hall and posted on the city's website. As well. The site is bordered on the north, south, east, and west by the RC zone. There are single-family homes that surround the property on the north, east and west, and a commercial business on the south, DePauli's Restaurant. And that's all kind of summarized for you in this little matrix here. So it should be clear, but if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those questions.
Those are the immediate neighbors?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, DePauli's is just south
Yeah.
of this Bulldogs Market, but I think there is a house in between. So there's a house that's kind of in between there.
There is, okay.
But everything else is pretty much RC zone, with, apartments and single-family houses. The applicant is proposing to utilize the existing driveway off Third Street. And Blair Avenue will be used as an exit. I'll go to the drawing right now in a second. So customers who arrive by vehicle will be required to enter from Third Street into the parking lot area and exit on Blair. Under analysis and discussion, this property did serve as a recycle center a few years back, like we said. So Mr. Chow here, he's proposing to operate the recycling center again, and because he's had requests to do this type of business on that side of town. And this use is allowed, subject to approval of a conditional use permit. The conditional use permit regulations are attached as Exhibit C in your packet. I don't know if you had a chance to look at those. And the applicant has secured a letter from the property owner allowing the attendant or any employees access to the on-premise restroom facility located in Bulldogs Market. So in this regard, the characteristics and the RC zoning of the property and proposed recycle center may be found compatible with the surrounding area. So there are some options there available for you. Motion to approve Resolution 2016-06. Motion to deny. Motion to approve the resolution with certain conditions modified, and motion to continue the public hearing for further study. It is recommended that the conditional use permit be considered and action taken on either the following: motion to adopt the applicable findings, and approve the resolution, or motion to adopt the applicable findings, denying the resolution. This is a public hearing, so at this time you can go ahead and open the public hearing, hear from those in favor or opposed to the project, and then you can bring it back to the table.
Thank you, Mr. Vasquez. At this moment, we would like to hear from the public if there's any comments in favor of this project. Anybody would like to speak in favor? I have one here from Mrs. Bonnie Wong. Would you like to speak, Ms. Wong? Oh, she's over, but she's
She's
in
the
favor.
owner. She's the owner.
Okay.
The white.
On some of the conditions that are gonna be required, does it include, I read the landscape and stuff, are we gonna require them?
Let's check that mic.
My name is Bonnie Wong. I'm the owner of the lot located at 610 3rd Street. 10 years ago, I did have a recycling center at this location. They were in operation for 5 to 6 years. Later, they closed up and moved away. This lot has been empty since then. I own the grocery store on the corner in the front. Recently, Carlos Chow asked to rent this lot. He received certification from Sacramento. We will abide by the City of Calexico's rules and regulations. We will also install a bathroom for employees of the recycle center. Most recycle centers are very clean. They do not have odors, and they do not attract pests or insects. Mr. Chow plans to make other improvements when they receive their use permit. At the moment, there is one recycle center, and it is located at California Market on Imperial Avenue. This is not convenient for everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you, Ms. Wong. Anybody else in favor of the project? Go ahead, sir. State your name, please, and your address. Okay. Could you try this mic over here? It might work better. Which one? This one on this side. Please. We apologize for the audio. We'll get it fixed by.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Chow, and I'm the owner of Ivy Recycling. I've been in the recycling business for over 27 years. And last year, an elderly lady came up to me and suggested we put a recycling center in that part of town. The reason is because she doesn't drive, and the other was really hard for her to take her recyclables across Imperial Avenue. So she asked me as a favor to put a recycling center there. We had a recycling center there about 10 years ago, and it was pretty successful. Like I said, I'm trying to help the community here, especially the elderly people. So that's the reason I'm doing that. Another thing, we do clean out this recycling center every day, so it doesn't really attract any flies or trash. The trash is picked up daily. Everything is picked up daily, and it's clean. So, I mean, if there's any questions about that, you're more than likely to go by there and look at the facility. I am going to make some improvements. I'm going to reseal the pavement, put a wrought iron fence in front, kind of improve the property a little bit. The block wall is going to take me a while to do because that is expensive, but eventually it'll go up. So, thank you very much.
Do you have other recycling centers?
Yes, sir. I got one in El Centro. It's a processing on Broadway, 377 Broadway. And then I have one at California Market, right there, the parking lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chow, I just have one question for you. It's a really nice project. I believe that the residents around there do deserve something to take their recycling a bit closer. Just a simple question in regards to the landscape and beautification of the area. Will there be anything showing up in that area where maybe it could be an eyesore to the residents?
Well, that's one of the things that I'm going to work on. It's planting maybe some plants, maybe some grass. You know, the water right now, it's kind of expensive too.
Yes.
But we're going to try maybe put some rock, you know, like desert type. We'll fix it. It's just going to take me a little while though, but it'll be done.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
To
Roy.
answer that question, there is a condition in the resolution. Condition number 3 talks about landscaping the area.
Okay.
Anybody else in
Thank you.
favor? Anybody else opposing? All right, then let's go ahead and close the public hearing. It is 6:45. Commissioners, do we have any questions, comments?
I have a question for Mark.
Go ahead.
Mark, how much time frame are you going to give them to build the landscape and the wall and stuff?
How quickly do you think you could do some landscaping?
Landscaping, it could probably be right away, like the fire fence, the asphalt, the resealing of the paper, should be done right away. The block wall now, it'll probably take about 8, 9 months.
So within a year, you'll have it looking. And how long are you going to give them the conditional use permit for?
That usually runs with the business.
are you gonna give him, like, if he doesn't comply with your requirements, are you gonna revoke his license? Like, with a conditional thing, like, you know?
revoke it at any time, so yes, that's.
I'm just saying, I don't want, like, LA Shuttle, you know, they had a year to comply with a bunch of stuff, and they haven't been in compliance. That's the only reason I ask. If you're giving these conditional use permits with a time frame where they come in here, promise something, and ask for it, and the planning commission approves it, but it's not followed through on.
Yes, that's a good point. Yes, we can revoke it within that year period if he doesn't act on the conditions, or doesn't install the conditions.
Okay.
Let me ask you, how many people are going to be hired for that facility? One employee, full-time? And it's an outdoor? So it's summer, winter is an outdoor? Got to provide, okay. Got plenty of water to drink?
You know?
Are you done, Mr. Zahn?
I think it's good. We need that for not only the environment, for the neighbors, for creating another business. If it's convenience to the neighbor in that area, I would support that. And good luck.
I have a question. Now, I said we're going to put a proposed block wall. Now, does that have to be around the storage container, or does it have to go to the property, along the property?
Mark, that was the question that I was going to ask. I don't see where the municipal code requires a block wall, because I've seen other recycling centers in other cities where a chain link fence with lattice is more than sufficient, and it's just for visual, just to keep the aspect of the location clean. So I don't think a block wall is necessary, since we're trying to do aesthetic, you know, and we're trying to help the small business owners here. So if they can provide a chain link fence high enough to obstruct the view from the neighboring, the residential neighbors, that will be more than sufficient to, I mean, my point of view, but, and it's, you know, it'll be quicker, it'll be probably more practical for them, because they're not owning the land, so why make them build something that is permanent? He's on a lease, and the conditional use permit is for 2 years.
For the most part, these type of businesses go in a commercial, industrial area.
Correct.
So a chain link fence with lattice would suffice.
Right.
In a situation like this, the only reason that the PRC committee went ahead and recommended for a block wall to go in is because they're right next to a residential area, which means that even though there's not going to be heavy traffic for the most part going on, but there will be. You have constant traffic as far as foot traffic. You will have some heavy vehicles going in there to pick up and drop off the containers. And because of this reason, then that is why the block wall would come into play.
Now, are you going to be storing, Mr. Child? Are you going to be storing every day? So there is not going to be any,
My proposal was to put a wrought iron fence in the front for aesthetic.
right,
And like you just mentioned, the block wall will be very expensive for me, especially the state will give me or refunds money to the customer.
right.
So my margin of profit is not that big.
The block wall, excuse me, go ahead. Okay. The block wall is not being proposed to go to surround the business. The block wall is more between the residential property and the business more than anything else. And usually when it comes down to commercial structures in a residential area, a block wall is considered to be put in for the reason that what it does, it cuts down more on the noise than a chain link or wooden fence would. So for that purpose, the block wall is being recommended to go between the property of residential and this commercial business. So they're not asking them to go ahead and put a block wall all the way around, only to to stifle the noise or to muffle the noise between the residential.
Right next, the next lot is residential?
The property
The
next
very
door
next-
is residential. There's two residential. You have the property on the east side of this business, and then you have another one in the entry. In the entry on Third Street, you have a residential structure in there as well. Look at the floor on Blair. Where
So where are you proposing the block wall? Because, I mean,
To the east, I think.
to the,
To the east, right?
Would probably be the east.
right. So, so he's going to be utilizing the entire lot, not just the shaded area? So it makes no sense. If he's just going to utilize the portion, why make him put a fence that is for the entire lot of the width of the property? I mean,
Well, the last thing we want
Logical.
is the neighbors to be complaining of the noise and the traffic in there. I mean, personally, if it was me, I would want a block wall.
But it's the zoning is right.
Right.
I mean, if the zoning is, it's
No,
industrial.
the zoning does not allow for commercial. The zoning allows for condominium housing, and it's all residential. That's the reason why it's coming here for a CUP, because it's a different usage. It's going from a residential to a
So
commercial.
we changing the zoning as well? Are we changing the zoning right
No,
now?
we're not changing the zoning. What we're doing is
conditional use permit.
Yeah.
applicant is requesting for a conditional use permit to be able to put that type of business in there, which is a different use from residential.
That block wall will only be installed on the east side?
That block wall will only be installed on the east side, just the portion where there's traffic.
Oh, okay, so it'll be like half the lot?
Yes.
Is any of the neighbor next door came? I don't see anybody
There's a
coming.
letter that someone
Yeah,
provided.
Mr.
Can you,
Vega?
can you read it as part of the record? So I can go into, can you? So,
We can hear.
oh, can you read the letter? So it could be also going into, please, no. Yes. Yes, I'd like to, if this is, letter is going to be part of the record.
This is from Mr. Luis M. Vega, and he's saying the residents of this house and my family are not in favor of the idea of recycling being open, and that the permit should not be given to Mr. Carlos Chow. These types of recycling centers should go in industrial areas and not residential. These types of centers attract various insects such as flies and mosquitoes. Please be aware of the information given about the mosquitoes that carry viruses such as the Zika or dengue, I can't pronounce it. And we would like to not expose ourselves to any diseases that may put in danger our safety and life. I hope your criteria of the information above is considered for the decision to not give the permit for the center and to immediately remove Ivy Recycling located on 610 Third Street in Calexico. Thank you for your attention to this letter, Luis and
Now, is Luis Vega is one of the neighbor? Is he one of the neighbor there, or is that?
He's an individual within the area. I'm not sure whether he's a neighbor next door or not.
Do we have his address or his phone number, or do we have contact information? Because,
We received that in the mail.
okay, how do we know that it's not some of the competition is doing that? How do we know for sure that that's Luis Vega, it's a legitimate person? Now, if it is legitimate person, and there is a potential liability or potential litigation, I would think seriously, before we approve it, to look it into what is the liability of the city if we're going to approve a business in it's not the zoning area,
Non-conforming.
and we have some people that are challenging us and taking us to court and lawsuit. And so we don't have the attorney here tonight, but I would like to maybe further look into it and see if we are covered, and we have, right now, we have all the, we have the authorities to actually put such a business in, not in residential zoning. I want to make sure that we are covered, the city, from liability, and what is the potential litigation if a neighbor complained and then decided to take us to court, because it's not the zoning. That's what I want to know. It's a light industrial. I know it's not big thing, but he's mentioning here in the letter that he probably knows something.
Well, one of the things when you have a public hearing in a situation like this, there is a project that they're requesting for a conditional use permit, and it goes through a public hearing, then everybody within a 300 to 500 circular area, then they're notified what's going in there. So they have the opportunity to make their comments, whether it's in favor of the project or whether it's against for the project. Basically, if it's a competition that lives around the area, but, well, there's not a whole lot we can do. It kind of falls upon the planning. It falls upon the planning commission to make a decision whether this is a good project, whether it's a project that would have a major impact within the surrounding area, or whether it's a project that's going to benefit the neighborhood. The parties that spoke in favor of it spoke that it would be beneficial in the sense that it would help the neighbors and everything. But again, the planning commission has to take that into consideration, and whether this individual wants to give their address and phone number, it's up to them, but they have that right to make comments on it. But then it falls upon the planning commission to make the final decision, and the decision is made on whether or not the project is a viable project.
Thank you.
I'm concerned mostly about the noise, and since the wall was recommended to build, and now he's not going to build a wall, and right next to it there is a neighbors, that's my concern. My concern that the noise would bring some problem to the city.
Yeah, and
complaining.
that's why we're recommending for a block wall, because the block wall will muffle the sound within that area. Mr. Yepes being a general contractor, he knows that block walls are usually required to be put in that type of projects. And that's the reason why we feel that a chain link fence would not be as justifiable fence to block that noise.
Okay, we talk about the wall. We know the cost. Do you know the cost of the wall? Did you look into the cost of the wall? I really want to have another business here. I mean, I want to make sure that we do it right and make sure that we don't bother other people. We don't bother the neighbors. And at the same time, we want to encourage our businesses to open. So what can we do? Do we have incentive within the city of Calexico to help him with the wall? Or 50 feet, I don't know. There's anything that we can help in putting that wall? Or maybe the landlord should come up with the money and put the wall, because he's not taking the wall with him once he's gone. This is a fixed to the land wall that will never be removed. So maybe a cooperation of the city, landlord, and the tenant together working for this project and putting this wall, so it doesn't cost to one person.
You got Mr. Chow here.
Yes, I'd like to add also that even though recycling is an industrial type of business, the only industrial thing that we have there is a scale. We don't operate any forklifts, we don't operate any balers, we don't operate no heavy machinery. The only thing we use is a scale and a portable fan for the employee. And, Mr. Vega is adding that there's a lot of diseases. I understand that. Of course, everything that's trash, it's got to have germs and bacteria. But in the 27 years that I've been in business, I have never seen anybody getting sick, not even the employees. So, like I said, it is an industrial business, but I don't operate any forklifts or none of that stuff.
Thank you.
Will you be receiving any other material other than just aluminum and plastic?
It's just cans, plastic bottles, and glass, and that's it.
Okay.
That's it.
I'll make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit for Mr. Chow.
Is there a second?
Second?
Do we approve it with the wall, with the brick wall that is?
With the conditions submitted from staff, just a revision on the resolution stated here.
I
1, 2, 3, 4.
I second that motion.
So, could you say that again, Ms. Feliz?
The revision on the resolution on the fourth line, it says, whereas no one has presented to object to the petition, nor were any objections filed with the commission. That is to be corrected because we got Mr. Vega's letter on objection, so that it could be reflected to the record.
All right, so is there a second?
Second?
There's a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Yes, just as it is in the plan.
Approve as it
Could
is,
could you
as
repeat
staff
what
recommend.
the,
What was that?
Repeat.
I didn't hear your comment.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
the motion, it was the revision on your draft resolution. Fourth line, it says on the whereas. Jesus Christ. On the,
A letter was submitted.
right, to reflect that there was an objection submitted because it says no objections were on the resolution.
Okay, we just want to make sure that the staff recommendation on asphalt and landscape and the wall, everything is being followed up. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Item number 3, are we going to item number 3, Mr. Morales?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we are. Discussion and potential action items. The bylaws for the Calexico Planning Commission.
Okay. Yes, the bylaws was prepared and was presented to the Planning Commission, and then the Planning Commission had some comments in regards to what the bylaws had. And so we took it back, we came back, and we brought in the bylaws again, and then with comments on it as to what we will be taking to the City Council from the direction of the Planning Commission. So there were, I think, 3 items there that the Planning Commission had requested to make changes on. And so these are the items that will be, or comments that will be sent to the City Council requesting that they consider these changes for approval.
Yeah?
Ralph, can you mess with that mic a little bit?
I'm sorry.
The microphone?
That's the one.
Is that the one?
And Ralph, when,
Can't you unplug it from the base?
Like, that's the one that's giving you all the feedback.
This one?
turn it to the other side. Yeah, to the
There
other
you go.
side, yeah. Has to be the yeah. Because
That's
it's
better.
it's facing this one and it's,
I think it's marked.
Yeah, está corriente.
So, so those are potential items, action items.
Yes, one of them has to do with a vacancy, the removal of the members. And the change there is that 3
consecutive.
consecutive scheduled meetings for any reason in a 12-month period shall be automatically forfeit his or her position and shall automatically be removed from the membership of the commission.
Yeah, I think that's
So it
fair.
would have to be, instead of being 3 missed meetings within the 1-year period, then
Yeah.
it's 3 consecutive meetings.
That's fair, that's fair.
Okay. And then the other, the next one would be the organization and under the organization and officers, which brings out that if no other commissioner wants to hold said office, the prior commissioner should be allowed to hold same office if she accepts the appointment and there is no interest from other members. So, and then the last one under disqualifying activity, planning commissioner should be allowed to serve on the planning commission even though they may be running for another public office. Planning commissioners shall not be forced to resign because they are running for another public office while serving as a commissioner on the planning commission.
Yeah, like what's happening with Mr. Romero right now.
Yes.
Yeah, so put that on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Okay.
Business items? Zoning text amendment, amending section 17.1.140. Ralph, Mr. Morales,
We need to take action.
will you take action?
Yeah, we need to adopt it.
Was this potential?
I know.
Okay. All right, is there a motion to accept these new 3 changes we made to present to the council?
Yeah, so move.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Business items, number 4. You got a presentation, Mr. Morales?
Yes, basically staff is requesting the planning commission consider recommending to the city council approval of the following ordinance. And this ordinance has to do with the industrial zone of the Calexico Municipal Code. What I'd like to do at this time is to invite the consultant for the mega park, which is being affected by this, to come forward and give a presentation in regards to the industrial zoning.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. My name is John Zeeparth. A few years back, we were working on a zoning code update for the entire zoning of the city of Calexico. What is before you here is really just addressing the industrial zone because the overall zoning is much broader, it takes more of environmental, requires environmental review, et cetera. The situation here is we're taking, right now in the city of Calexico, you have really one industrial zone, general industrial. So you got heavy industrial, light industrial, you got office, business park, everything under one umbrella. In your general plan, you actually make the distinction between business park and general industrial. The problem is you don't have a business park zone in the zoning ordinance to reflect the business park land use that you have in your general plan. What's before you today is actually the creation of 2 new zones. One is a light industrial, so you have light, not as heavy, you don't have the noise, you don't have the traffic, or the heavy trucks that you have with heavy industrial. This can serve as a transition area between commercial properties, heavy industrial, as well as with your residential. The second zone you have there is called business park. And this is really intended to create more of an office type of environment. I was a consultant for Calexico Mega Park. What we did in that project was we actually did with a general plan, we did a land use designation of business park adjacent to the residential because we wanted to use offices as a transition buffer between the traffic and everything else with the residential. What this zone would allow us to do is basically now create a zone that reflects that land use designation that we did in there. And what it also does is gives the city the control over the type of development that goes on in those zones. I mean, with Calexico Mega Park, they are self-monitoring, self-enforcing these kinds of restrictions on the industrial zone because they have the right within that industrial zone to do that. What this is doing is creating a zone, 2 zonings that would actually give the city the criteria and the controls And these are very similar to the type of zoning regulations that the city of San Diego has for light industrial, business park. And what we're trying to do is give those tools to the city of Calexico, and that's why we're urging the recommendation for this. There's one other aspect, and which was just handed out to you, which was part of the original submittal and proposal we made to the city. There's a serious challenge, I won't say problem, but a serious challenge in trying to get projects implemented in the city of Calexico. Part of that has to do with the economic conditions we have. Just went through the recession. The state of California recognized this, and what they did is, your ordinance today says, we go through this discretionary process. Calexico Mega Park spent 4 years, 8 years to get through the process. You get approval on the discretionary, but you have to implement it within 1 year. But the problem is, by the time we get through the discretionary process, even when we sometimes have tenants lined up, we have to start over with some of those tenants. Financing, nobody's going to finance till they know they have the project. So by the time you work out the leases, then you try to go through plan check. And plan check is not always quick. Engineering, final maps, all these things. It's really not feasible to do that in 1 year. So the second proposal there is actually to reflect what the state of California has done, city of San Diego has done. They recognize the same challenge, is to do a 3-year expiration of time. The whole goal here is we want to incentivize, we want to promote redevelopment in Calexico. To do that, let's not handcuff the guy who's trying to put the money out there to try and do this. Let's grant a 3-year expiration time period and then be able to request, if there is a basis for it, a further extension of that time. So that's the proposal that's before you, is create 2 new industrial zones, light industrial and business parks, so we can further refine the type of development, protect the surrounding communities, and then deal with this expiration time. Any questions?
I think we did have an applicant that we give an extension before. It's right. You know, we say 1 year, but if 1 year expire, they can always come back for an extension, right? Before the expiration date.
We have done that in the past.
Yeah.
But by doing the 3 years, it makes it easier in the sense where the developer doesn't have to be coming in, running in, and trying to get this, or requesting the extension, and then the possibility of missing that window.
Deadline.
Because at the time that happens, then the process has to start all over again, and that becomes very expensive.
It's a reassurance for the applicant, and it's really giving the city the opportunity to actually see what these, I mean, you've got some great plans that people have submitted. It's really giving them the opportunity to actually get those implemented.
Is it the 1 year right now from the approval of the council, or is it 1 year from the final? What is the right now, the 1 year? The 1 year term that we have, from when? When does it start? From the approval of the council, or from the approval of
It's from the approval of the city council. So for example, right now, your final map, that's going through and getting everything mapped and everything else, has to be done with 1 year from the date the city council approved the discretionary. And so what ends up happening sometimes is, as you get a tenant lined up, for example, if we were to get a Target at Calexico Mega Park and wanted to go in, maybe that configuration might cause us to want to tweak the boundary line slightly to accommodate that footprint of that building. So a lot of times what we do when we're looking at doing final maps, we want to make sure, when we got the tenants lined up, if we have to make a fine adjustment, we'd rather do it as an adjustment to a tentative map than going back in and trying to do that as an adjustment to a final map. And so that's where it's, you know, having that flexibility, a little bit of additional time, plus now with, I'll be honest, with the new stormwater regulations that the state of California has in effect, it takes, some things get tweaked a little bit along the way, and that's the challenge going through the plan check process. Every year there's new regulations, so we just are looking for some flexibility to let them, when they go out to market this, to know that, yeah, I mean, if we're down to 9 months left, we got to come in for another expiration. Fortunately, the city has granted extensions of time, and that's appreciative. But what we're trying to do here is establish something that everybody knows what the criteria is.
So you're proposing two different proposals, right? One is to amend the establishment zones,
Right.
and the other one is to
Amend the
increase
expiration,
the time from 1 to 3 years.
right.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions? Thank you.
I have a question for Ralph. Who is currently working on our general plan for the city? Because I believe a couple of months back, we had staff coming in with a consultant or someone.
Yeah, there was a grant that was put out, that was put together, and that grant was, on the general plan, it didn't cover the zoning. It was more for the traffic and noise and all that.
So this is just for
On the zoning,
information.
they've been working on this for a while. Brian Mooney was a consultant, he put it together, and unfortunately, because of lack of funds, it came to a standstill. So we've been trying to push it to get it completed and finish it. We still have the residential and the commercial zone that we have to complete. But if this can get approved, or at least recommend to take it to the council to get approved, then at least we'll have one section of it taken care of.
I have a problem with this item since it was not properly worded on the agenda. It's considered a business item just for this, just for informational purposes, the way it was placed on the agenda. We can't take no action, and then there is no public hearing notices out to the public to affected businesses and what have you. Also, we don't have legal advice in front of us.
Legal is the one that put this together, and I
Well,
know
I
legal's
would
not
like
here.
I would like to see a memo or some kind of informational report that says that he has review.
Yeah.
I agree with Josie. I'd like to see legal here to tell us this is
Or our
good.
city manager, interim city manager giving us his advice, because this is an administrative matter. We can't proceed without having legal.
Like I said, the city attorney is the one that put this together.
I
And as far
understand.
as to the item of the agenda, the city clerk is the one that recommended we change it and
I
put it under
understand.
this so that it could be discussed
Right,
and
right.
action be taken, so.
So
I-
I'm gonna make a suggestion. Make sure you put everything under action items when you want us to take an action.
Yeah.
That's because even the other one, I thought it was an action item.
Right.
Yeah.
So please do that for the future. Is there
But
a
at least
motion?
now we have a little information and we heard. So next meeting when we come, we'll be a little prepared. So let's have it on the next agenda, on the right action item, and have maybe the attorney. It's going to cost you another $100.
Is there a motion?
And can we make sure legal's here?
Yeah,
Do
that's,
you want to make a motion to table the item?
Well, there's no reason
there
to
is no
table
reason
it.
to table, yeah, there
It's
is
just
no
the
item.
informational item. We receive the information, thank you, we're not
You
voting
can-
on it.
We can recommend staff or direct staff to bring it back if they wish to.
Oh, they will.
They will.
It's going to cost them another $100.
Right,
Okay, let's move on then.
Excuse me.
thank you.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Let me say, I totally understand your dilemma because of the way it's been docketed and not having the legal. What I really want to do is if there are any questions you have that, between now and the next hearing or that I can answer now, I would like to just, because what we want to do is this is to us, just like when we amended the general plan, we believe this is for the benefit of the city of Calexico. And from an environmental perspective, any project that comes forward will have to do its own individual analysis to have this their properties rezoned here to any one of these zones. With Calexico Mega Park, we actually did all the environmental analysis, traffic, noise, all those kinds of issues as part of our original project, so that this could be applied to that property without further environmental analysis. And that would be the only property that would actually have this applied at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, California code section allow it. It's done in San Diego. It's done in other cities, right?
From an expiration of time,
No, I'm talking about the zoning.
the zoning, yeah, this zoning.
It's done in
if you
California and
compare
other
the zoning
cities.
To the city of San Diego, it is very, very similar. Type of uses allowed, restrictions. So, and as Ralph said, this was forwarded to the city attorney, but I also recognize you do not have a memo from the city attorney here tonight, which you should have. So, I respect it, you know.
It's like this letter, we don't know who sent it.
Yeah, I just, you know, I just want to be able, if there's any questions you have, try and answer those questions tonight.
We'll meet again.
Moving on, planning commissioner comments. Any comments, commissioners?
No comment.
No comment.
Staff comments? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second.
All's in favor? Aye.
All right.
Meeting adjourned.